Hey, welcome back to Score on Business, and we're still with Matt Tenney. So, Matt, tell us about the importance of taking care of your team.
Well, there are a lot of ways that this is important. We were chatting offline a little bit about sales, but just about every business metric that you look at requires the engagement of team members, right? So even if you're a small team of just 2 or 3 people, you could have the best strategy in the world. If you don't have team members that are inspired by the vision and feel that the leadership takes care of them, the strategy is not going to happen. Somebody's got to execute it, right? So at a very high level, that's the basic idea. If we don't take care of team members, things just aren't going to happen. So from a business standpoint, it's pretty clear, I think, that this is something we need to do. But somewhere deep down, I think we also know that this is what life is about, right? Yeah. If we go to work and we just put our thumb on people every single day, that tends to wear on everybody over time. And we don't go to bed with a smile on our face. We don't wake up with a smile on our face. And life's just too short, I think, to be to be chasing a few extra dollars and being miserable.
I'm with you on that. And companies perform better.
Oh, significantly better. I think probably the most well-known case study, anybody that studies servant leadership would have learned about Southwest Airlines. I mean, the airline world, up until maybe 10 years ago, was such a cutthroat industry that most airlines were extremely happy if they could have one profitable year every 5 or 6 years. Southwest Airlines has been profitable every single year for over 40 years straight. And if you ask anyone in their leadership, how did you make that happen? They say, oh, it's not the fuel hedges that we had, because that's actually losing them money now. It's not the fact that we only fly 737s, which is a nice advantage. Their answer is simple. Our number one priority is loving our team members.
Right.
We love our team members. They love the customer. Yeah. And when the customer feels the love, then everything else falls into place. Yeah. And you also tend to get people that are much more innovative on the front lines, which is where some of their biggest cost savings come from. Like being able to turn their airplanes around much more quickly than their competitors, which saves them billions of dollars a year. That is something that was derived from frontline people like baggage handlers realizing, oh, if we do things like this instead of like that, we can turn the airplanes around more quickly. People do that much more readily when they feel that people care about them from higher up. And as we were chatting about offline about sales, even if you're just a 2-person team and you as a startup, and you have to go out there and you're killing your own dinner, so to speak, from the early days, if you go into every transaction with the mentality of, I'm not here to make a sale. I'm here to communicate with a human being and find out how I can help this person. Right. Even if it's not with me. Yeah. I guarantee you, if you go in with that attitude, there's a shift in energy that happens, and all of a sudden, this interaction is much more authentic. The person on the other side of the table or coffee room or whatever, they can feel that. They feel that you are more concerned about them than you are about making a sale. And that's what sales comes down to. It comes down to who do people like and who do they trust. Now, of course, you have to have a decent product somewhere, right, or a service somewhere. But there are a lot of those out there. Yeah. So if you want to have a chance at being different, that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Well, that's certainly what I've done through these years, and I'd rather walk away from an opportunity than do something that's not in their best interest. Now, I've gotten pretty good at finding customers where it probably will be in their best interest. But yeah, so while we're on the topic of taking care of your team, talk a little bit. When I think of current employee engagement rate, I think it's 30 or 33%.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, but the short of it is it's very low.
It's not very good.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, I think part of that comes from, once a company becomes publicly traded, there is tremendous pressure on senior leaders to have profits every single quarter. So I think those numbers might be skewed a little bit by the fact that it is really, really hard to be a publicly traded company and be an effective servant leader organization. Right. Because when you have shareholders who are by nature short-sighted, almost all of them are, saying we want profits this quarter, CEOs are worried that they're going to be fired if they don't do the things necessary. So what tends to happen is you have people being laid off to make short-term numbers work, and people doing more financial maneuvers than they do innovating or taking care of the team members. So that's what leads to that. I think some of the skewed numbers.
So what do you tell companies when you're speaking with companies that are publicly traded and that face those challenges? What do you tell them?
It has to start with you.
Yeah.
So usually I'm not talking to the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I've spoken for several Fortune 500s, a few Fortune 100s. I'm not talking to the C-suite. I'm talking to a business unit, sometimes a general manager within a business unit and his or her team. And that's the message, is it has to start with you. And if you take care of your team members and you demonstrate consistently better financial performance than your peers, eventually someone's going to ask, what are you doing? How are you different? And that's when change starts to happen. You can't go and just tell somebody, higher than you, hey, I read this great book on servant leadership, and it seems like all the best companies over the long term do this. We should do it. It's probably not going to happen. What has to happen is we have to, as whatever team that we have control over, we have to take control of ourselves, take care of our little circle, our team, even if it's a decent sized team, and results speak for themselves. So if you have people that are more engaged, you have financial performance that is dramatically improved, that's going to attract the attention of leadership. And that's the best thing we can do to affect change.
Okay. So we don't have a lot of time left. Can you think of any parting thoughts in 15 seconds or so?
Sure. Yeah, I think a very, very simple habit that can get you moving in this direction is, for the next 30 days, commit to catch at least 3 people doing something right and telling them that you're grateful for that.
Oh, heck yeah.
If you can do that, you will start to notice a shift in how you approach your engagement with team members.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. Bye now.